Hello everybody and welcome back to another video. So there's been some drama going around the MMA community lately, and I've seen a bunch of other YouTubers uploading about it, so I wanted to give my take on it. People have been saying, if you haven't heard, I'm sure you've heard it, that Dagestani fighters are ruining the UFC. Very long story short, because they're boring, because people view them as just taking down opponents and holding them, and there's no action in the fight tonight. Totally understand where they're coming from. However, I completely disagree. Take a look at most of the Dagestani fighters in the UFC, like Umar Nurmagomedov, or even Khabib. Like, even when before Khabib was retired, everybody really loved watching to see, like, how dominant he was, how special he was. But even, okay, he's retired, maybe he's a special exception, right? Let's take a look at any other Dagestani fighters that are fighting right now, or any fighter that really uses Sambo, like we just watched Arman Tsarukyan fight. Some people could consider that fight boring. I personally look at that fight, I look at Arman's skill set, and I understand, like, he isn't the best example at all, right? We could talk about Ismagulov too, you know what I mean? So any fighter, it's not just the Dagestanis. That's where my problem with it is, because there are so many fighters. Like, take a look at GSP. He is the definition of lay and pray. He's one of the most boring fighters I've ever watched, and of course, every fighter had their bangers, right? But GSP, for the most part, he had a very boring style compared to the Sambo fighters, who are constantly attacking, and the Dagestani fighters are constantly looking for a submission. You take a look at Islam Makhachev. People say he's boring all the time. People did not want him to beat Charles Oliveira because it would ruin the lightweight division, where I look at him and I go, wow, that is an amazing skill set. Like, I love seeing how Khabib and Islam, they fight, and they are so dominant and so good at their craft, where it's like, if somebody were to stop that, and that's the most interesting part for me, is like, can someone defend the takedowns? I don't know why people don't necessarily find that interesting. It's not like what they're doing with GSP and just laying down. I don't mean to attack GSP. I like GSP. It's just like, there's a bunch of fighters who just use their wrestling and like lay on top of their opponents, right? But the vast majority of these Dagestani fighters are taking people down and actively transitioning and sweeping and looking for a submission. They are constantly attacking. I find that very interesting. I love watching fighters, and I love watching how it's fascinating to me how these fighters can't necessarily deal with the Sambo that come from overseas there. And it's just, they bring a whole nother new element to MMA, and it's something that we've never seen before. And it's, of course, in the early stages, as the sport progresses, as we go years and years down the road, I'm excited to see the Sambo fighters go against each other. Like right now, like, oh my God, one of my dream fights at the moment right now is Khamzat Chimaev versus Shavkat Rakhmonov, because taking a look at the grappling, just that's such an interesting fact of the sport. Don't forget, it's MMA, and these fighters, these fans, I feel like the people complaining about the Dagestani fighters are mostly the same type of people who would go to an MMA event and start booing as soon, like 2 seconds into the clinch. You know what I mean? Like, the fighters are up against the cage, they're throwing their fair share of knees, and I understand sometimes it can be boring, but they'll just start booing right away, and it's like, no, we just want to see people scrap. We want to see Justin Gaethje versus Michael Chandler. That's every fight we want to see. But no, I find the grappling aspect of MMA so interesting. Like I was just talking about, like I just mentioned, Khamzat Chimaev versus Shavkat Rakhmonov. I would love to see how their grappling goes up against each other. I was watching Damir Ismagulov versus Arman Tsarukyan. I wanted to see who would have the advantage in the grappling. It's very, very interesting to me, and it's a beautiful aspect of MMA. So I do not understand why everybody is saying that Dagestanis are ruining the sport of MMA. I think they are bringing a beautiful new craft into the sport, and I can't wait to see. I love when specialists come. I love when someone comes in and it's not just like, hey, you know what, they're freestyle, or hey, they do MMA. I love watching these fighters come in, say, hey, this is a Sambo fighter, get ready for the Sambo. You know what I mean? Everybody knows the game plan, but the whole thing is, can he stop the game plan? I find it so interesting. This is where I want to leave it up to you guys today. I want to know what you think down below. Do you think that Dagestanis are ruining the sport of MMA? Because I completely disagree with it, and I don't understand. Well, I understand where it's coming from, but I just completely disagree with it. That's it. That's the end of the day. I disagree with it totally. I love grappling, and I love the sport of mixed martial arts. These people should watch boxing. They should watch Muay Thai. They should watch kickboxing. It is MMA. This is what we come to watch for. The grappling aspect is such a huge part of it, and I'm glad that it's being so, like, it's being at the front of the table right now. I would love to know what you guys think. Again, thank you so much for watching this video. If you're new here and you enjoy the content, please consider like button, help the channel a ton, and subscribe if you're brand new. Check the description down below for links to all of my other channels if you'd like to hear more talk about fights. For fight talk, I butchered that sentence. I'm trying to end this video quickly, but it never works out that way. Hit that notification bell. Thanks for watching, guys. I'll see you in the next one. Take care.